San Antonio is a very segregated community, and so our needs are very different across the city, and having developmental relationships as a focus in the types of services and programming that we do, we're able to meet our students where they're at and really be intentional about the relationships we're going to build with them in the short amount of time that we have them during the school year. So I think that has helped us in having a bigger impact on the students that we service.
I would say that if developmental relationships are utilized in a really intentional and mindful way, they certainly can further equity, again, because it takes an individualized approach. It's really looking at the student as a whole and figuring out what does that student individually need, and it's building genuine relationships with those individual students that really individualizes their personal growth versus replicating a model that may not be applicable to every student.
Many of our core members are coming in with a really great experience of wanting to do the best that they can for students. And that also means thinking very critically on how they can reach students, how they want to make sure those students are valued and included, and making sure that their voice is heard in all settings.
If we are understanding the historical context of trauma or of oppression, whether it be a race-based oppression, so racism or sexism or homophobia, any type of systemic form of oppression that our students might be enduring on a day-to-day basis, then we're able to challenge those systems of oppression when we see them. And so when we utilize developmental relationships in our programming, we know that each one of our students is getting an individualized approach in their support system that ultimately takes in consideration outside barriers that may not be visible if you're just having a superficial conversation or a superficial interaction with students.
A large part of how the developmental relationships work has reinforced the equity lens is that by being intentional and inclusive, you can differentiate services based on each child's unique needs. So it's not enough to just be intentional with a few kids, and it's not enough to be inclusive, but not intentional about how you serve all of those kids. With the developmental relationships framework, you are able to do both, to focus on both in all practices and activities, and ensure that differentiation meets the kids where they are and provides that right level of support.
Sometimes kids will fly under the radar, kids keep their heads down low, and they need just as much help as the kids that'll come up to you and want to talk to you and want to get help in their schoolwork. And being intentional about making relationships with students, I've been able to reach out to all students in a classroom and not just the very specific ones that are looking for help.
By having a very intentional practice about what strong relationships look like and the role that you as an adult play in establishing that relationship, that ensures that you will be much more consistent with every student that you work with.
Communities and Schools currently operates on 113 different school campuses, and because we now have this universal language, universal strategies, universal activities and practices, we are able to start making sure that students, if they don't have an existing healthy web of adult relationships, we're connecting them with mentors, we're connecting them with internships and other opportunities to build healthy, robust relationships that will serve them in the present and help propel their future.
Equity is at the cornerstone of everything that we're trying to accomplish at City Years. The question really to me is, how have the developmental relationship framework helped to create a culture of belonging, both for students and for core? And we're really working hard to capture that data and make real-time adjustments to our culture and to our organization so that we're creating policies and practices so that students feel they belong and also that core members feel that they belong.